Come on! Yeah! Here we go! Yeah! 1, 2, 3, 4! Come on! Let's go!
Good afternoon and welcome to a very exciting conversation that I'm going to be having with my guest, Mendel Rosenberg, who I'm going to be bringing out shortly. But before I do that, I'll introduce myself. I am Mike of Spark. And before we jump into this exciting live job description, I thought I would set the table. And what is this? What is a live job description and why are we doing it? Our goal is to elevate the experience for the candidate and for our clients. And we do that by humanizing hiring. And really at the core of that, we believe that it's just as important who you're working for and with as it is the company you're joining. And I'm lucky enough to get to represent some great leaders. And Mendel is definitely one of those today. So before I bring him out, I just want to tell you about this interactive nature. We will go live. We're going to be talking about a CMO head of marketing job for GearSupply. You'll have the opportunity to listen, learn about Mendel, learn about GearSupply, learn about this role, and you can interact. If you have questions throughout, please feel free to post them. And if I can't get to them live, we'll make sure that we respond to them afterwards. I noticed off screen, because I saw Mendel, he was drinking an original Coca-Cola, so you know his energy is going to be off the charts when I bring him out. But I'm going to do my best to set the table and introduce him. He's an entrepreneur's entrepreneur. And I know I might have mentioned that about a previous guest that I had on, but I'm just lucky to be networking with such fantastic people in this space. Some interesting things about Mendel that I learned. He mountain biked across Israel alone, taking only dirt roads and mountains. Crazy, as well as I think he may be the only or very rarely individual to be kicked off of eBay because he was too young. He did his first transactions at the age of 10, which we will get to because I really want to kind of dig into that a little bit. In terms of an entrepreneur and a leader, the things I admire about Mendel as I've got to know him is he is curious, decisive, and extremely self-aware. 3 qualities that make up a great leader and somebody you want to work with. So you're not here to hear me talk. You're here to learn more from Mendel about this role and him and his company. So I want to introduce you to the gear guru himself, founder of GearSupply, Mendel Rosenberg. Mendel, welcome.
Hello. Wow.
How was that for an intro?
That was an awesome intro.
Pretty good, eh?
We can do this all week. I love that.
I could just do these on your morning calls if you want before you jump on. I can come on, do a quick intro, tee up.
I think it'll be good. Maybe before I go home, forcing my wife to say, Mendel, remember who you are. You're an entrepreneur, biked across Israel. Awesome. Nice to meet everybody. I can't see everybody, but exciting.
Yeah, before we jump into the specifics, just to satisfy my curiosity, you had mentioned kind of in your profile that you sold some things on eBay at the age of 10, one being one of your dad's old suits. What did it sell for? Do you remember?
I don't remember what the suit sold for. It wasn't his suits. There's someone in the community who either had some sort of fashion line or something and would turn through all these extra suits. And I'm not exaggerating. My father was a rabbi, and so not somebody who's necessarily too concerned with his looks. And this guy would drop off a truckload, not a truckload, but an entire carload of suits every couple of weeks. And at a certain point, I saw my father's using one of the 15 suits that gets dropped off that was used once or twice. And I started selling them on eBay. And then eBay found out I was around 10. And we got kicked off. And then, so the eBay account that we use now with Soundsupply, we don't sell a ton on eBay anymore, but when we were selling a lot on eBay, was actually called Hindi 305, which is my mother's name, because at 11, I decided I wanted to get back on eBay and used her account. And that's still the account that SoundSupply is based off. We just requested a name change. So that's, if you see,
incredible.
Been a member since, that's how we got that.
That's amazing. That's great. And before we jump into this role, this head of marketing, VP of marketing, CMO role for GearSupply, I think to set the table, that'd be great, is if you could just give everybody just an overview of the origin story of GearSupply, and then we'll jump into the role. So I'm going to turn it over to you and tell us the story.
Sure. Awesome. Yeah. So I got started in this industry somewhat by accident. In Hebrew, they say hit galgati. That means I kind of just rolled up and bumped into it. I was looking to get into the concert production industry, studied concert production in Tel Aviv, moved down to Cincinnati after meeting a girl here. We got married, moved to Cincy, got a job with the first production company I heard of. Everybody said, go work for Loud and Clear. Called up Loud and Clear, got the dial by name directory, and figured it's an American company. So every company probably has a Steve. Typed in Steve. Sure enough, Steve Langman answered the phone. Steve's in charge of HR. Said, yeah, come in tomorrow. We came in. He gave me an interview on the spot. And then I said, oh, by the way, I can't work on Sabbath because I'm Orthodox Jewish, if you can't tell. And he said, oh, well, that's half the work week. And I remember he very theatrically took my resume, spun it back around and slid it across the table and said, Mendel, I'm sorry, I can't actually give you this job. And I was a little sad and said, is there anything else I can do? And he saw that I had an e-commerce background, and he said, yeah, we have all this used gear that we're looking to sell. If you can take all this gear and figure out a way to get it out the door and sell it, we'll happily pay you a commission for all the items that you sell. And that's essentially how this whole SoundSupply, GearSupply idea started. We created then with them a webpage, went through eBay, through some of the classified websites, and started selling off his used gear. I had a friend in Florida, still have this friend. He's a very business savvy person and told me that if I wanted to start doing something similar across the country, he would love to help me do this. So he said, why don't you call production companies all across the country who have the same type of concert production gear and offer to either sell it on their behalf or buy from them and then resell it. And that's essentially how this whole idea started. At a very high level, we then proceeded to partner with big rental inventory owners. So what that means is in the concert production industry, there's a lot of people who have gear in many locations. So by gear, I mean loudspeakers, staging, lighting, anything that you can imagine. You go to a Justin Bieber show or Britney Spears show, and they have all the gear up on that stage. All that typically is rented locally. The reason they rent it locally is because it's too expensive to ship that across the country and maybe not even feasible. Britney Spears or Michael Bublé or whoever else it is has a show one night in, let's say, Toronto, and the next night has a show in Washington State. That's a lot of time to get that gear back and forth. So they'll have two separate locations with the exact same gear ready to go. Obviously, that means that there's a lot of redundant gear. So what we found out very quickly is that there's a couple players, probably 10, 20 players in the whole country that control most of this rental inventory. And these players, the second any bit of inventory gets a little bit obsolete, they have to turn through tons and tons of inventory. So we started buying that inventory in bulk. And then fast forward 5 years, we are the largest purchasers and resellers of used event production inventory, and realized that, hey, if we need to buy that gear from them because they have no good way to sell it, we should just create a way that they can sell it on their own. And we don't need to physically buy it, bring it back to Cincinnati, clean it up, store it, warehouse it, ship it. There's no reason why we can't create a platform that lets them connect to that audience, lets them transact with that audience, and lets them market that gear properly directly to that audience of people looking to buy used event production equipment. So we created GearSupply, whichever side it's on right there, GearSupply. And that's a short little intro. GearSupply is fairly young. I can tell you more about the platform, but let me see what Mike wants me to talk about.
So you get kicked off. You get kicked off of eBay at the age of 10, and then you're like, you know what? I'm building my own version of eBay for this industry, and you got him now. It's come full circle.
That's awesome.
You're exactly.
I never thought about it like that. That's awesome. We at one point had one of the eBay category reps, because we were selling so much in that category, call us up. And at that point, I thought of that. I said, this is funny. Like, I have a category rep on eBay calling me about how to sell to this category and how to advertise, use, manufacture, whatever. It's the whole funny thing, how that came full circle. But I don't think it's the same person who kicked me off. So that was very nice. to him.
So in terms of GearSupply, it's live. You've had it. How long has it been open, and kind of what excites you about the early success you've seen so far, and how the market has responded to this?
Sure. So there's a vendor, Solotech, in our industry. They are one of the largest vendors as far as rental inventory is concerned, and we had a very strong relationship. We bought a bunch of deals off of them in bulk, and I came back to them and I said, "Hey guys, if I created a platform where you can have all this gear live online, and we'll give you all the tools you need to transact and to do the tax compliance and the logistics, which is all very difficult, and we'll get into that another time. Would you let us beta this platform with you and create the platform hand step with you? And if it works, great. If not, you're just doing us a favor for all the deals we did for you." And they said, "Sure, let's do that." So they listed their inventory. They connected their inventory with our API. We listed our own inventory that we owned on the platform. We launched it in August. And in the first 2.5 months, did about 300,000 in sales, which is not a lot compared to what my other business does in sales, but blew me away as far as what an online platform with total organic marketing. No, there was nobody on the phones getting people to get onto the platform. It was just online, Facebook ads, Google ads, and people went onto the platform. And it wasn't just one big transaction. It was a bunch of small $30,000, $40,000 transactions, and swiped their credit card and bought used AV equipment without ever meeting somebody, without ever talking to somebody, maybe an email correspondence or two. But it was really a proof of concept that totally caught me off guard. I did not expect such a tremendous demand. And that's with one vendor and our gear. So essentially 2 vendors on the platform. That was really exciting to see that. And that kind of shifted me into this new approach, which is less of the testing and just going full force towards it, to the extent that I've actually hired a CEO on for my other business. And now I'm full focus on this GearSupply piece.
That's great. Thanks for the overview. And I think that's good to give some people some context. I know kind of question came in, wanted to know the yearly volume and kind of understanding that, just launched, and from organic marketing, we've seen tremendous results from the market to show that there's some product market fit. And now it's a matter of you're doubling down. And that's why this role has come available. And it kind of transitions nicely into, what is this role? Like in your opinion, what is this role, and what does success look like for this individual in a year, 3 years, 5 years time?
Sure. Awesome. Great question. So we, in our discovery of this platform, realized very quickly and knew this going in, that this would be the case, that our strong suit is our connection to supply, especially nowadays, where just like the car industry or many other, furniture, it's very, very difficult to get furniture through the door, to get cars through the door, because there's such supply constraints. We realized that very quickly, that our number one value that we can provide day one is supply, because I knew all the vendors who owned all that rental inventory. I transacted with all the biggest guys in the country, had strong relationships. I was telling anybody, if you can find one negative review about me or my company online, I'll give you $100. Nobody can, thank God, so far at least. And that's because we go totally over the top to make sure that our customers are extremely satisfied, and our customers being the vendors that own this gear. We realized very quickly that for every one deal that we bought as a company to resell, there's another 3 or 4 deals that we didn't win. And not because our offering wasn't right, but because it wasn't exactly what they needed. Meaning, if we were going to buy something, at a 50% discount or a 30% discount, they weren't ready to give that discount, or they didn't need to sell all of it, or whatever the reason was. But they still needed to get rid of that equipment and sell it. So I realized, if I create this marketplace, I can attract all of that supply onto this one platform. The next piece that I needed to do was create a platform that had all the tools that they needed to transact. And so that's more on the technical side. That's basically what we've worked on since the MVP was launched. We've worked on all the technical tools and the tax compliance and the logistics. What I'm realizing though now is that while my expertise lies in knowing the gear and knowing the industry, and probably most importantly, knowing where the gear is and having relationships with the owners of that gear, where I don't have expertise or knowledge or even the exact game plan yet, is how to get the demand on the platform. Obviously, I have ideas of where I think that demand is and the best ways to target them, but I really, really need somebody who understands that, and that's his whole life, that he understands how to get, or she understands how to drag people to the water and then let them drink. You know what I mean? Let them see that we have all the gear aggregated on this platform. They're not going to have to call 15, 20 different companies to see if they have that gear. It's all going to be here. They can do the transaction start to finish. I just need somebody who understands how to get those people to see our platform and to see how convenient and easy and seamless our platform is. So really, I'm looking for somebody who can understand soup to nuts the entire marketing component of this platform. I can probably figure it out over the next 2-3 years. It's not worth it. I would much rather have the company double or triple and have a partner who understands how to do that and taste those fruits together than me do it. And, maybe competition. Right now, there's no competition in this. Have competition creep up because I was trying to figure it out all myself. I'm humble enough to realize where my skills end and where I need help.
I think that was a great kind of summary of somebody to own the demand side of the organization in terms of, making sure that eyeballs and conversions and funnel goes to the marketplace. You've got the marketplace handled. You've got the supply side figured out. It's the demand piece that's really important and critical. And that's kind of what this individual is going to own. Now, question for you is, would they be required to know the ins and outs of this space specifically, or are you just looking for someone that has marketplace growth marketing expertise? Like, what do you think would set this individual up for success the best?
Sure. So anybody who has a B2B background understands that a B2B sale, whatever level of the food chain you're on, is very, very different than a B2C sale or a C2C sale. In the B2B world, relationships are extremely important because you're bumping into people again. Trust is extremely important. Convenience is extremely important. It's not all just about the dollar amount, as opposed to in the B2C world where a customer may buy something from this vendor versus this vendor just because the price is better. I am of the opinion that the right DNA can't be taught, and the right DNA is what leads to success. All the other industry-specific components can be taught. So I definitely do not think anybody needs to have a background in this industry. If I did, I probably wouldn't be talking to Mike. I'd be talking to an industry-specific recruiter, which we have used for roles that we believe needed this industry-specific background. I don't think this is a role that needs that. I would say it in other words, if our industry had proper marketing talent and proper marketing skills, there probably would be somebody doing exactly what we're doing. Right now, there's nobody doing what we're doing because a lot of the way our industry works is still very old-fashioned. There's a lot of things that haven't really come to the 21st century yet. So really what I want is somebody who understands tech, who understands B2B at the very, very top, understands exactly what he needs to do to keep people happy and engaged and to keep our reputation top-notch. And then most importantly, it's understanding the e-commerce component of drawing people's attention to what we're working on and building the trust in the platform that we're doing. Because without trust in the platform, nothing's ever going to continue. It's too small of an industry. And nowadays the world is too connected with the internet, and it's just the right thing to do. We need trust and we need to build trust. So somebody who knows how to convey that in a digital format.
Perfect. That was a great explanation. I mean, a growth marketer, someone that's kind of taken a marketplace and grown it. Doesn't have to be in this specific industry, but they understand they've developed a strategy, executed on that strategy, and really owned it end to end is kind of what we're looking for here. And what does success look like in this role for you? If you're to think about an individual coming in and having tremendous success, what does it look like in year one? And what does it look like in year three?
Sure. And the honest truth is I don't know exactly what the answer to that is, because this is a platform that has so many different ways people can appreciate it and use it. Just to give you an idea of how many different ways this platform can diversify is consignment. Having people ship all the equipment to us and having us fulfill it on their behalf. I think Mike's significant other does something similar to that. So no competition over there. But consignment is one of the many ways that this platform could generate income besides for just the commission structure that we have right now. Financing is one of the ways. Marketing, where we're helping people advertise their gear. So there's a lot of different ways this platform can evolve. What I do know is that we have the gear aggregated. And that's a humongous hurdle and humongous barrier to entry for anybody looking to do exactly what we're doing. We've done that already. We know all of the people. We know exactly where the gear is. We've created APIs to be able to link the common inventory systems that our industry uses to our platform. What we don't have is the market aggregated. Part of the reason the market is not aggregated is because a lot of the people we sell used gear to are fairly new in the industry. So they're not in any of the databases, or they haven't attended conferences yet, or they haven't, for whatever reason, been in any of the regular circles. And then also the truth is even the people in the regular circles in our industry are also not really aggregated. Like I said, it's an old-fashioned industry. So success to me, year one looks like identifying exactly where all those people are. And at the very, very, very least, having signposts out in those areas where those people hang out, whether it's Google, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Facebook Marketplace, whether it's different forums, whether it's conventions, that they start bumping into us. So when the very second they start typing in those words, where to buy used gear, or they ask a buddy, where can I buy used gear, or where can I sell gear, that the first words they hear is GearSupply. That's exactly what we're looking for year one, is to make sure at least those signposts are up in the right place, identifying exactly where those are. And then obviously, most importantly, is creating a major increase in our customer tallies and the total amount of customers using our platform. Year three is where we start getting into the bigger picture of how many customers we want on the platform. What do those customers look like? What are their average transaction sizes? But like I said, all that kind of depends on what the customer base tells us right now. Right now, there is no aggregated customer base. So we need to have that customer base on there to identify exactly what they are going to be most interested. Right now, we're going to make money from selling that gear on behalf of the sellers. Where the customers are going to bring value to us, we still have yet to exactly determine. But the goal is, at least in the very first year, to be aggregating that customer base and understanding exactly where they are.
I love that. That was great. And Jake, thanks for the comment. I love the way he ended it. Kind of a growth marketer's dream: attract, convert, retain, and scale is kind of his tagline. So I think it's perfect. I mean, that's summed up very well.
Maybe I should do marketing.
Yeah. on that note, we're gonna kind of flip to yourself in terms of what it's like to work with Mendel. I mean, to get to know you a little bit. I mean, because I think we've a strong understanding of GearSupply, the origin story, this role, and how critical it is to the success in terms of where we are today and where we want to go. What would colleagues say that it's like to work with you?
Should we bring one in? Maybe we should bring one in and ask them. I would hope they would say it's very exciting. I hope they would say they like my energy. They like what I'm doing. They like the freedom that I give them. That's important to me, just like I'm being very upfront and honest where my shortcomings are as far as this platform. It's the same thing in any of the work that I do. I understand that I have certain skill sets that God gave me, such as networking, such as selling, such as getting people motivated and excited. I'm not a process person. So I have a very, very good process person working with me who has full autonomy to do exactly what he needs to do. I'm not good at bookkeeping and keeping things in detailed order. So we have a fantastic office manager who does all that and has full control and reign. And anybody who comes in and has a question can go straight to her because she understands exactly what's going on in every single department. So to me, finding somebody who has the things that I don't have and being able to complement them as well as possible, but really just letting them have their space and giving them the room to grow. I will say the one thing I have no tolerance for is people who treat people poorly, especially people who treat our customers poorly and people in the industry poorly. It's extremely important for me to have a rock solid reputation as a company in our industry because, number one, it's the right thing to do. I want people to look at me and to look at my company and to say, this is somebody who is ethical, who's honest, who's going to treat you well, who's going to go over the top to take care of you. That is the only time where I'll ever walk into a conversation and say, nope, that's not happening. Besides for that, it's your free reign. You do exactly what you want if you have those skills that I am missing. So there's things that I can do that are just process oriented. We'll hire a specific role. This is exactly what we need done. We're a startup. So there's very few of those things that have a specific process. The majority of hires that we make are the exact opposite. We say, what are you good at? What are some examples of where you've taken an idea from start into full fruition to exactly where it needs to be or exactly where you wanted it to be? And how has that changed with your involvement? And if they give us a great answer for that, we say, okay, great. Here's 4 or 5 ideas that we're working on right now. Let us know if you have any other ideas that you want to work on, and then we continue to grow that. I dress formal. I wear a formal suit and tie. I believe that the way you dress is the way you work. Again, like I said, that is what I believe as a general rule. I don't enforce any of that on anybody because people need to be able to do what feels comfortable to them and makes them maximize their potential. We never had any remote work. This is a good example. Until somebody in the office said that they wanted to move to Spain. And I said, okay, let's work that out with HR. We worked it out. And the reason why I was totally pro them moving to Spain is because I knew that that person, she had a tremendous desire to be in Spain. And, for whatever reason, she connected with the culture, yada, yada. I knew that for her to be in Spain means that she's going to be a more productive, more creative person. And she was involved in marketing. She's one of the main GearSupply pillars. And to give her that capacity to be in the most conducive environment for her, I wish it would have been by me, in the next office over, because, then I can pop in and say hi. But you know what? I need to make sure that everybody has the number one potential and capacity to grow in the way that is comfortable for them. So I think that the word would probably be freedom and trust are the two things that people would say about me, that I trust people a lot, probably too much sometimes. We get burnt over every once in a while, but I'd much rather let more people work with me and get burnt over out of one of them than not work with anybody because I'm too nervous. And then number two is freedom, is making sure that people can really do what they need to do. And honestly, it's the beauty of freedom is you very, very quickly see what people are made of and whether it's the right fit or not. And the people who've made it past that first week or two with us have typically stuck on for a pretty long time.
And just to reiterate, just because, people that are listening to this, that's one of the draws that I wanted to represent and work with Mendel is genuine in terms of like, he cares for people and allows them to express themselves for who they are and how they are. And I think that's why I'm so excited to give this platform for them to speak people, because this is an amazing opportunity. This is such a great opportunity. You're going to have so much autonomy to do what you want to do, and you'll have Mendel's trust and support to do that. So it's very rare you get these opportunities. I mean, for
100%.
him, he's open. He and that curiosity is something that we talk about a lot. Is you don't know what the future's going to look like at GearSupply, but you're excited about it, and it can go in a bunch of different ways. And kind of you want someone that has that same passion and energy and excitement, that they want to own it and do something disruptive in the space. So, as we're kind of winding down here, I wanted to give you, Mendel, the opportunity to close out any closing comments you have to candidates that are watching this either live or going to watch the recording afterwards, in terms of, this role yourself, GearSupply, kind of how you want to tie this up in a nice little bow.
Sure. And I guess to continue what Mike was saying, that curiosity that he was saying that I have, I think is representing itself in, should I get on a call looking for a CMO and say, I don't know what's going to be in 3 years? Probably not. Do I have business plans that we've written up and that metrics that we're trying to hit as far as where we want to be in 3 years? 100% we do. And I'm happy to share that with anybody who's interested. Do I want to get on and pigeonhole that to a conversation with a bunch of experts in the industry? No way. Because I'm telling you what I think is not bring a marketing person where we should be with our market that we're trying to reach. I can't do that because I'm not an expert. I need to let you, the expert, tell me where we need to be. Of course, I need to have goals. And I've set goals to reach that point where I think we need to be, but I really need the marketing experts to say, Mendel, this is really how you market this and this piece of the platform. What I can tell you for sure is that there's a tremendous amount of gear that's not aggregated, that's all over the world, that we have access to and have relationships with the owners of that gear. What I can tell you for sure is that there's a lot of platforms and tools that exist already nowadays from a technological standpoint that make it very easy for people to transact on the platform, as long as we can monitor and connect all the platforms and software to work well with one another. What I can tell you for sure is that we have a solid gold reputation in the industry, and that barrier to entry of A, knowing all the people who own the inventory, and B, having that reputation in the industry is a barrier to entry that's going to be very, very hard for somebody who just says, hey, you know what? There is no marketplace in our industry. Why don't we make one as well? How come only GearSupply gets to do it? I know for sure that that's going to be very difficult. Of course, anybody could compete, and we have no idea what the future holds. As of right now, we are in the perfect place to do exactly what we're doing, with something that we wanted to do since day one. We said, let's focus first on building these relationships with these people. COVID was a perfect opportunity. We had 3 months where everything basically froze. I'm sure everybody remembers in March of 2020. We worked on this for 3 months. We have amazing proof of concept. We have investors who want to get behind this idea and want to push it. I need to complete the team, and then we can grow this thing like crazy. And that's basically what I'm looking to do. It's the same reason why I hired a CEO for Sound Supply, so that I can just focus on GearSupply, which is the marketplace, and grow that marketplace. And I want the perfect person. And this is something that I was taught and something that I always say. And I'm huge into mentors. I have probably 10, 11 mentors that I call literally once a month, if not even more than that. One of them once told me when I first started that 90% of 1,000 is worth a lot more than 100% of 100. And that's the style that I try to grow things with. I love sharing things with people as long as they can bring value to me and we can all grow it together. I'm more than happy to give up whatever needs to be given up in order to grow as fast as we possibly can. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm very excited about this platform. I really am. And we go to all these conventions, and I always tell people when they're looking to work with us or starting to work with us, I always say, all of this our relationships, our industry, our reputation, where we're holding, what we're doing in the industry might make sense. But once you go to convention and you see people's, oh, wow, you guys are doing that. I've been dying for somebody to do that in our industry. Or, oh, wow, you guys can buy gear like that or sell gear like this. I wish I knew about you 3 years ago before we dumped all of our gear to some liquidator and, who did bank liquidations for 10 cents on the dollar. So I always tell people that if you want to understand all these things that I'm saying about our reputation, about how novel it is, what we're doing in the industry, and how much people appreciate what we're doing in the industry, come to a convention with me and you'll see how all the decision makers in our industry respond to these types of conversations that we're having right now. Looking forward to meeting you guys.
Mendel, thank you so much for spending some of your day. I know it's packed, so I appreciate you taking this time. I think, candidates seeing this, extremely valuable information, and myself and Brian will be circling back to get people interested and excited about conversations that they're going to have with you. So if you're watching this live or afterwards, Brian and myself will be in touch to work on the next steps. But thank you all for attending. Thank you, Mendel. And everybody have a fantastic Monday.
Have a great day. Enjoy your week, everybody. Very nice to meet all of you.